Okay, this is going to be a little lesson on how to manage a loan, and this is going to be paying off credit card debt. Credit card can be considered like a loan. There's a couple issues with credit cards. Of course, you can keep using them and going into more debt, but we're going to try and consider a case where you've kind of accrued some debt and you want to stop. You want to reverse that and pay off the debt. So here's some of the credit card rates. This is from November, but they're not terribly different now. If you have excellent credit, you get 13%, but in good credit is close to 19%. Fair, it's 23%, and you can see that it's pretty high. So we're going to basing my estimates on this these kind of reasonable rates that are out there now. Okay, and so let's take a look at a situation you may find yourself in one day or know people that are dealing with this. Let's consider owing $4,000 in credit card debt with an interest rate of 18.9%. And on your statement it says the monthly minimum is $40. So they often give you this minimum monthly payment that you have to make. And so the question, some of you may know what's going to happen, but what is going to happen to your balance if you only make the minimum monthly payment after 1 month? So let's discuss that. If you are, what you should start with is calculating how much interest you're going to be owing after a month, because if right now you owe $4,000 in credit card debt, then after a month you're going to owe more because they're not going to have you stop paying the interest. So the interest for that is equal to, remember, interest is principal times rate times time. And the principal is the balance on the loan, which is $4,000. The rate is 18.9%. So of course you move the decimal point 2 places to the left to make that a decimal calculating form. And then in 1 month, now credit cards, they'll tell you actually what a daily rate is. I'm just going to give you an estimate because this is a random month. So it's 1/12 of a year. That's important. For a month, you just calculate 1/12 of a year. And so now we'll take this and find out how much interest will you owe after a month if you've waited. And so 4,000 times 0.189 times 1 divided by 12, 1/12 is $63. So that's how much interest you'll end up paying. So if you make a $40 payment, the first thing they do to that $40, here's your payment. The first thing they do to the $40 is they pay interest off. Well, you already owe $63 in interest. So this is kind of a reverse. Out of that $63, you've only paid off $40, so you still owe an additional $23 in interest. And you haven't got any money left for the principal. Your principal, in fact, is negative $23. You're going to owe an additional $23. So here's your balance out here. You owed $4,000 1 month. Then the principal, you end up owing another. We could put a minus there for the 4,000. That might not be a bad idea. But for the next month, you're going to, at the end of that month, if you give them $40, they'll say, well, thanks, but you actually owed us an extra $63. Your balance is going to go up by $23. You end up adding 23. That is not the direction you want a debt to go, is to be getting higher and higher and higher. Because what's going to happen the month after is if you owed $63 in the first month, now you owe $4,023, so your principal is going to go up, which means you'll even owe more interest, which means it's going to go up more than $23 the month after that if you keep making the $40 monthly payment. And this is very common among credit cards. They recommend a monthly payment of $25 or $30, and it is typically not enough to cover, may not be enough to cover all the interest. And if it isn't, your debt gets worse and worse. So, now what's going to happen to your balance if you make payments of $1,000 per month instead? So you're going to say, okay, I got a new job. I'm going to put almost everything into getting rid of this debt. I want to wipe out my debt as fast as I can. So what's going to happen? So now the interest on that is still going to be principal times rate times time, which is still 4,000 times 0.189 times 1/12, and then that's still $63 in interest. So when you make your payment of $1,000, they're still going to, the first thing that happens is they will take off the interest. So they'll take $63 in interest, which means your payment of $1,000, you lose 63 of it. So 1,000 minus 63 is $937 in towards the principal. So this is what happens. That means the $4,000 debt will go down, but it won't go down by $1,000. It will only go down by $937, and that's going to give us $3,063. Right? There's the 63 that we wanted to go down 1,000, but we ended up having to pay 63 in interest. So it's still going down. That is a very good direction. But if you do it again, your interest is going to be a little bit less. So the next month your interest is principal is now $3,063. Your interest rate is still 0.189, and it's still 1 month. So this is always going to be a 1/12 of the year. We're not picking particular months, or else we could do the number of days. If it's January, it would be 31 out of 365. February is 28, and so on. But we'll look at this 3,063 times 0.189 times 1 divided by 12, and that is now $48, and it says 24 cents. So I'll just round it to the nearest cent. Now, you're making a $1,000 payment, right? So this time, instead of taking away $63 from your $1,000 payment, you're just going to subtract $48.24. So you take $1,000 minus that $48.24, right? Take your 1,000, here's your payment every time it's 1,000, minus $48.24. And now it's going to go down $951 and about 76 cents. So now it's going down a little faster, right? The last payment was only $937. Now your payment is going to be a little bit more. Your principal is going to be more, so it'll go down more than $937. So we get that $30.63 minus that $951, and now our balance is $2,111.24, and that's going to keep going down pretty quickly. Again, after 4 months, it's still not going to be to zero. You'll have the interest, this little bit of interest, all that's going to be accruing every month. So you'll owe more than $4,000. You'll pay more than $4,000. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at a little further situation, and we're going to carry that out even more. So we're going to talk about amortization schedules, and that's really what this topic is about, is how do you pay off a debt. So consider owing $4,000 in credit card debt with an interest rate of 18.9%. What will your payment have to be if you want to pay it off in 2 years? Well, that's pretty easy for us to calculate because we have that TVM solver we've used. And if we want to pay it off in 2 years, we know that that's 2 times 12, right? 2 years is 2 times 12, or just 24, if you want to put in 24. The interest rate is 18.9%. That's quite high. The present value of the loan is $4,000. We don't know what the payment is, but we definitely want to make payments every month. And so we'll compound and pay. We'll just do this, assume it's monthly. And again, some credit cards do it daily, and that means you have, 730 days period. So that'd be different. You'd have different numbers up here, and you'd have 365 down there. But we're just going to do it by the month for the average month. So what's our payment going to be? That's what we need to find out. So we solve for the payment. We're going to pay $201.44 per month. $201.44. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. $201.44 per month. Now, we've already done problems where we calculate, well, how much would that be actually in 24 months? So in 24 months times that 201.44, that's going to be more than $4,000. It's $4,834 actually. So it's a lot more than $4,000 because we're paying a high interest rate. But this says, let's make an amortization schedule for the 2-year payoff. Well, an amortization schedule does kind of what we were doing in this previous problem. It does it neater and in a little more organized, systematic fashion than this. But it says basically, every time you make a payment, how much of it goes to interest, how much is left to principal, and what's the new balance. So I'm going to do that a little more organized on this problem. So we're going to have what our payment is, how much goes to interest every month, every one of those payments, how much is left that goes to, so your payment is split into 2 parts. Some goes to interest and some goes to principal, or it goes to the balance, but we usually say to principal. It means how much goes to pay off the loan. And then we have our loan balance. And that's going to be changing after every payment. So the loan balance starts out at $4,000. Okay? And then we come over here and we say, okay, if we're going to make a payment of $201.44, at the end of the first month, that $4,000 will have accumulated interest. Now remember, interest is equal to the principal, which in this case is our loan balance, I'll write LB, times the rate, times the time, which is going to be 1/12 in this case. So this number is going to be, in our case, 4,000 times 0.189, and every time in 1 month it'll be 1/12. So let's do that. 4,000, we already did this, didn't we? Times 0.189 times 1/12. And that is $63. We already knew that. I'm not going to put dollar signs on everything here right now. But what happens, how do you get your principal? Well, you take your payment every time, which is now your payment's going to be $201.44 every time. But we're going to subtract the interest each time. So in this case, it's $63. So I'm going to take that and subtract 201.44 minus 63, and that gives me $138.44. So this is what goes to principal, which is what we can, I'm going to erase this line. It's not bad to have that line, but what I want to get at is, to see this, we're going to subtract $138.44 from that balance. So that gives us 3861.56 if we do that subtraction. Now this whole thing starts again, but we have $201.44. But now, instead of $4,000 as a balance, we have $3,861.56 as a balance. It's still going to be multiplied by 0.189 and times 1/12, or I can just write divided by 12. So we'll take that number. I have that number in my calculator now. 3861.56 is there. I just go times 0.189 and then divided by 12 to get for 1 month. And now that is $60, and it says 0.1819. So I'm going to say $60.82 because the loan company will round that up. And so now I'm going to take the 201.44. Basically, I'm going to subtract this every time to get this number. Does that make sense? 201.44. I owe $60.82 in interest. They take that first and put it in their back pocket, and they say this is all you have left to pay off the loan. And so when we do that subtraction, we get now this time it's $140.62 that's remaining. And now this goes to the principal. So I get to subtract the 140.62 from that amount. And so here is our balance at the beginning. After one payment, we've gone down to this. After the second payment, $3861.56 minus 140.62 is 3720.94. And so you can see the balance is going down. And what is going to happen in the next month is this interest, because the loan balance is going down, this interest will drop, and we'll be subtracting a smaller number, so the principal will go up, and we'll be subtracting bigger and bigger numbers. So that's why we get a picture of how we pay off loans over time. Your loan balance starts off up here, and it starts to drop down, but it drops down faster and faster and faster. Now, it looks like that typically. That's the loan balance over time. So it goes down less at the beginning and more at the end because more of your payment goes to that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what that would look like if we did it on a spreadsheet. And this is what they do in banks and loan institutions. If you take a $4,000 loan, and we said the payment was going to be $201.44. So we're going to have a monthly payment of $201.44. So at the beginning we owe $4,000. The interest on that will be equal to the $4,000, which I'm going to just name that cell. It's column D, and it's row 3. So that's D3, and I'm going to subtract, or I'm going to multiply. That's an asterisk. I'm going to multiply the interest rate, which is 0.189, and I'm going to multiply by 1/12. I could have just divided by 12 also. And that will be the interest, which we've already seen, that $63. Then the principal is the payment minus the interest. So the payment's $201.44. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to, again, we'll put a formula in. I'm going to push equals. And then that is cell A4. So I'm going to take A4. And I'm going to subtract cell B4. And that's the remaining $138.44 that we're going to need to, that will go towards the principal. So this money, the $63, all that goes towards interest, that goes into the pocket of the loan company. And this goes down to pay off your balance. So you owe $4,000. You owed $4,000, so I'm going to hit equals. That $4,000 is D3. And I'm going to subtract this value, which is in cell C4. So C4. So there's the new balance is $3,861.56, which is what we had over here too, $3,861.56. We had that in our schedule there as well. But now what's nice about Excel is I can take these 4 cells and highlight them, and in this lower right corner I can pull that down one, and look, it tells me what it is after. This is the first month of payments, then the second month is a 5, the third, so it, oops, this is supposed to stay as 201. It shouldn't jump up to 202. Let me just see. I'm just going to take this payment and run it down. Now, 2 years should be 24 months, so 4 plus 24 months should put us up at 28. So I'm going to go down to row 28. That should be our last payment. I'm going to actually go to 27 because that, well, I'll go to 28 and you'll see that this last payment is going to actually be a little different than that, and you'll see why in a second. But now I'm going to take these rows and I can duplicate all of these. Notice 37, 20, 94. If we go back to that, remember we had 37, 20, 94. We've done that by hand. But now, doing it on Excel allows us to do it super fast. So there's the next month. If we grab all those, we can go all the way down to row 28. And now you'll see in the last month it's going to be a little bit different. We started out. This was the end of 1 month was 4. So 2 months was 5. So I really only needed to go to month 27. And even at that, at 27, it looks like because of the rounding off, it came out we still owe a penny. You would probably pay the extra penny on that last month's payment. Yeah, so that's rows 4 through 27 is 24 rows. So that is what an amortization schedule looks like. And what I want you to see is that this interest keeps dropping down month after month because the balance goes down. And as the interest drops down, more of the payment goes to the principal. And so you're making a higher and higher principal payment. So at the beginning, you're paying $63 for the first month of interest, and only $138 is left to pay for your towards your loan. But then at the last month, you've only got $3.12 in interest, and so almost all of your $201 payment goes towards the loan, and then you only have a penny left over, which you pay then. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and you'll be doing this yourselves in just a little bit.